is that there are a lot of water and drought restrictions when it comes to Denver that a lot of people don't realize. And I'll kind of take that a step further and just explain to you for a minute that if you have a yard and you like to keep your grass, your traditional yard nice and pristine, you don't have anything like xeriscaping, which is becoming very popular, meaning using different materials instead of grass to create landscaping that doesn't require as much water. Talk more about that in a second, but if you have a more traditional lawn like I do at my house and you want it to be as green as possible, you got to really be cautious about just how much water you're using. Denver does have some restrictions they put into place in certain times of the year to avoid overuse of water and any drought concerns. But if you do end up using more than kind of what you're supposed to, a lot of the utility companies will actually bump up the rate that they're charging you at per gallon, like significantly. I was watering this dead dry spot in my backyard last summer, hitting it every day for like 2 weeks. Obviously, watering a little bit more than I was supposed to, but just trying to repair this section of yard. When I got my water bill, it was like $200 compared to like $40, which it normally was. So it's like 5 times more. I didn't use 5 times as much water, but it was because I went up into the secondary tier of pricing if you go over a certain amount of usage in a given like 30-day period of time. So just be aware of that. But then also talking a little bit more about this xeriscaping. This is really, really popular right now, and you're gonna find this in almost all new construction communities. And it's just a way to, again, minimize the amount of actual water needed because you don't have as much grass. And I think, in my opinion, there's classy ways to see xeriscaping and some that just look a little bit just kind of boring and just not that impressive. The ones that I think look really nice, they're utilizing lots of different types of rock, stone, mulch. They're not only relying on like one type of material. Some of these really kind of like cheap new build communities, some that are really, on a budget, they're just not trying to spend any money they don't have to. You'll just see like big sections of just nothing but 3/4 inch stone, just like rock field basically. And I just think that just, it doesn't look that good. And if you have any pets or little kiddos, they have nowhere to enjoy playing. So what I'd recommend doing is just making sure you're finding a community that has a little bit more tastefully done xeriscaping, or you have a nice healthy balance where in your backyard, you still have traditional sod, so nice grass, green type environment. And then maybe only in the front yard, you have a minimal amount of that, and it's more of this xeriscaping. So something just to keep in mind, and maybe now that I'm talking about it, you're gonna start to notice this a little bit more as you drive around and look at potential communities that might fit your family best when looking at Colorado and Denver as a place to live. All right, so I can't finish this last point without sharing another local tip. So I'm gonna share another just quick little thing that I did at my last house that I was really happy with after completing it. My dad was a big part of this. He helped me a lot on this project, but I had a house in Sloan Lake, and it had, it wasn't a grassy backyard. Basically, the homeowner before me had put in this kind of garden that just did not fit what I was looking for. So as we kind of revamped that, we're getting ready to create our own backyard. I was looking at just doing a traditional grassy, typical sod installation of grass in my backyard. But what we decided to do instead was actually install artificial grass or turf. And you're seeing this a ton now in a lot of different homes that I take my clients to check out when we're looking at homes. And I think this is something that has really improved over the last 5 years in the quality of how well it looks, the installation, getting it professionally done. And it becomes something that, honestly, sometimes you don't even realize it's artificial grass. There's definitely a right and a wrong way to do this. And my dad and I, we did do it ourselves. And my dad is an expert at a lot of that kind of stuff. He's really good with just home projects. So I think ours did come out pretty well. But I've also seen some installations at other homes that I've toured that look really bad. So this is an example of something that can be a huge benefit. And a lot of other people might also see this if you put this in your house and you go to try and sell it in the future. A lot of people will see a lot of value in having this artificial grass, but only if it's done professionally and really just tastefully done where it looks good and you didn't cut any corners. So just something to keep in mind, that artificial grass or turf is another great option if you are somebody that still wants to have some form of, usable space for kids or for your pets, but maybe you don't want to, go the route of xeriscaping. So think about that next time you guys are considering a change in your backyard setup.